She sold our beach house while I was overseas, vanished with her lover, and left me with nothing but silence, a note in a book, and a porch that now belongs to strangers. I never saw it coming. I was in Lisbon when she called. It was late afternoon there, and I had just finished a client meeting. I remember standing outside the cafe, watching the trams roll past, when my phone buzzed. Her name popped up on the screen, Emily. I hadn't heard from her in 3 days, which wasn't unusual anymore. We'd grown distant, and I'd stopped expecting warmth in her voice. But this time, she sounded different. Detached. She said, "I sold the beach house. I'm with someone else now." That was it. No explanation, no emotion. Just a statement. I didn't say anything at first. I just stood there, phone pressed to my ear, trying to process the words. She hung up before I could respond. The beach house wasn't just property. It was the only place we ever felt close. We bought it in South Carolina, near Folly Beach, after our 5th anniversary. It was small, nothing extravagant, 2 bedrooms, a wraparound porch, and a view of the ocean that made you forget everything else. We spent summers there, sometimes whole months. I'd wake up early, make coffee, and sit on the porch while she read beside me. We had fights there too, but they always felt softer, like the ocean dulled the edges. Selling it without telling me felt like erasing everything we ever had. I stayed in Lisbon for another week. I didn't know what else to do. I kept working, kept pretending I was fine. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't want the pity or the questions. At night, I'd walk along the river and think about how things had unraveled. It wasn't sudden. I could trace it back to small things. Missed calls, short texts, the way she stopped asking about my day. I was traveling more, chasing contracts, trying to build something stable for us. She said she understood, but I think she stopped waiting. I don't know when she met him. She never told me his name. Just said she was with someone else now. That was enough. When I flew back to the States, I didn't go home right away. I landed in New York and stayed in a hotel near the airport. I needed time to figure out what I was walking into. Our house in Charlotte was still in both our names, but I didn't know if she was there. I didn't know if she'd left anything behind. I called a friend, Mark, who lived nearby. He said he hadn't seen her in weeks. Said her car was gone. I asked him to check the house. He drove over and said it looked untouched. Mail piling up, lights off, no sign of anyone. I drove down the next day. Walking into that house felt surreal. Everything was exactly where I'd left it. Her shoes by the door. A half-read book on the coffee table. Our wedding photo still hanging in the hallway. It was like she vanished without packing. I checked the closet, her clothes were gone. Just empty hangers and a faint smell of her perfume. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the wall for hours. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, trying to understand how someone could leave like that. I found the paperwork for the beach house sale in the kitchen drawer. She'd signed everything electronically. The buyer was a couple from Atlanta. I looked them up, real estate investors. They'd already listed the house as a short-term rental. I called the agent listed on the documents. She confirmed the sale. Said Emily had been very decisive. I asked if she mentioned me. The agent paused, then said, "She said you were out of the country and wouldn't mind." That was the moment I realized she'd planned this. She waited until I was gone, made the sale, and disappeared. I started going through her things. Not out of anger, just trying to find clues. Old journals, receipts, photos. I found a note tucked inside one of her books. It wasn't addressed to me. Just a few lines. "I need to feel alive again. I'm sorry." That was all. I stared at those words for a long time. I didn't know what she meant. Was I the reason she felt dead? Was our life that suffocating? I thought we were building something real. I thought the distance was temporary. I thought she understood. I spent the next few days cleaning the house. Not because it needed it, but because I needed something to do. I boxed up her things, labeled everything, and put it in the garage. I didn't throw anything away. I couldn't. I kept hoping she'd call again. That she'd explain. That she'd say it was a mistake. But she didn't. The silence became louder than the phone call. I started sleeping on the couch. The bed felt too big, too empty. I stopped cooking. Just ordered takeout and let the dishes pile up. I didn't tell my parents. They liked Emily. They thought we were perfect. I couldn't bear to shatter that image. One night, I drove to Folly Beach. I wanted to see the house one last time. It was late and the street was quiet. The porch light was on, and I could hear music playing inside. I didn't knock. I just stood across the street and watched. A couple came out, laughing, holding wine glasses. They looked happy. I wondered if they knew the history of that place. If they could feel the echoes of what used to be. I stayed there for an hour, then drove back without saying a word. I started writing things down after that. Not for anyone else, just for myself. I needed to make sense of it. I wrote about our first trip to the beach house. About the time we got caught in a storm and spent the night playing cards by candlelight. About the way she used to hum when she cooked. I wrote about the silence too. The way it crept in slowly, like fog. I didn't know what I was trying to achieve. Maybe I thought if I wrote enough, I'd find the moment it all broke. But I never did. It was like trying to trace a crack in glass that's already shattered. I kept working. I traveled again. I met new clients, signed new deals. But something shifted. I stopped talking about Emily. I stopped mentioning the beach house. People asked how I was and I said, fine. That word became my shield. I didn't want sympathy. I didn't want advice. I just wanted to move forward. But every time I saw the ocean, I thought of her. Every time I heard a certain song, I felt the weight of that phone call. It never really left me. I just learned to carry it. I moved out of the Charlotte house 2 months later. I couldn't stay there anymore. Every corner reminded me of her. The way she used to leave her coffee mug on the windowsill, the stack of magazines she never read, the scent of her shampoo lingering in the bathroom. I tried to reclaim the space, rearrange furniture, repaint walls, but it felt forced. Like I was trying to overwrite a memory that refused to fade. So I packed what I needed, sold the rest, and rented a small apartment downtown. It was quiet, anonymous. No history. That's what I needed. I didn't tell many people about the move. Just Mark and a few colleagues. I kept working, kept traveling. I buried myself in contracts and deadlines. I became the guy who always said yes to extra hours, who never missed a flight, who answered emails at 2 a.m. It helped. The distraction. The structure. But sometimes, in hotel rooms or airport lounges, I'd catch myself staring at nothing, thinking about her. Wondering where she was. Who she was with. If she ever thought about me. I never reached out. I didn't want to beg for closure. I didn't want to hear her voice again if it sounded like it did that day in Lisbon. One afternoon, I got a message from an unknown number. Just a photo. No text. It was the beach house. The porch. The ocean in the background. I stared at it for a long time. I didn't know who sent it. Maybe her. Maybe someone who knew. I didn't reply. I deleted it, but it stayed in my mind. That porch was ours. That view was ours. Now it belonged to strangers. I started dreaming about it again. Not nightmares, just fragments. Her laughing in the kitchen. Me reading on the porch. The sound of waves. I'd wake up feeling hollow. I started seeing a therapist. Mark suggested it. I resisted at first. I didn't think I needed help. I thought I was managing fine. But the first session broke something open. I talked for an hour straight. About the call. The silence. The house. The note. The therapist didn't interrupt. Just listened. At the end, she said, "You're grieving something that never got a funeral." That line stuck with me. I wasn't grieving a death. I was grieving a disappearance. A life that vanished without warning. Over time, I started writing again. Not just memories, reflections. What I learned. What I missed. What I regretted. I wrote about the way I used to rush through life, thinking stability was enough. About how I mistook silence for peace. About how I never asked her if she was happy. I realized I'd been building a future without checking if she still wanted to be part of it. That was hard to admit. I wasn't the villain, but I wasn't innocent either. We both drifted. She just jumped first. I found out her lover's name by accident. A mutual acquaintance mentioned it at a dinner. Said Emily had moved to Denver with a guy named Jason. Said they looked happy. I nodded, smiled, changed the subject. I didn't want details. I didn't want to know what he did for a living, how they met, what their house looked like. I imagined it anyway. I imagined her laughing with him, cooking with him, sharing the same routines we once had. It hurt, but it also helped. It made her real again. Not a ghost. Not a mystery. Just someone who chose a different path. I never tried to get the beach house back. I thought about it. I even contacted the new owners once, pretending to be interested in renting it. They sent me photos. It looked different. New furniture. New paint. The porch swing was gone. I didn't follow up. I didn't want to walk through a place that had been rewritten. I let it go. I let her go. Not all at once. Not cleanly. But slowly, like sand slipping through fingers. Last summer, I went back to Folly Beach. Not to the house, just the town. I rented a small place near the pier. I walked the shoreline every morning, watched the sunrise, listened to the waves. I didn't think about her every second. Just sometimes. In quiet moments. I felt something shift in me. Not closure, just acceptance. The kind that doesn't need answers. The kind that lets you breathe again. I still carry that phone call with me. It changed everything. Not just my marriage, but how I see people. How I listen. How I ask questions. I don't assume anymore. I don't take silence as agreement. I don't wait to say what matters. I learned that love isn't just presence, it's attention. It's asking, checking in, showing up even when it's inconvenient. I failed at that. She did too. We both lost something because of it. I don't hate her. I don't wish her pain. I hope she found what she was looking for. I hope she feels alive again. As for me, I'm still rebuilding. Still learning. Still walking forward. Some days are heavy. Some are light. But I keep moving. That's all I can do. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this.